Yeah, the trade winds broke down. There is a little breeze blowing, but it's not a favorable direction. It's sort of coming at my face. And so that means that those plumes down there at Leilani are also coming in my face. I woke up this morning around 4 or 5 o'clock, my throat all irritated, having irritating dreams, realizing I'd left the bedroom window open and the sulfur had moved in. Out here it smells like a rotten egg fart today, faintly. Looking way off towards the northeast here, we can still see a little bit of fair blue up that way. But as we pan here to the southeast, the air, it gets pretty thick. She's thick here today. So this is the first day that we're suffering with bad air. We were bucking the odds. We had these volcanic eruptions down in Leilani Estates for the last week and a half, and all I had up here, other than pretty good earthquakes, was a spectacle. It was interesting. Hale Ma'u up here in the park, it's opened up and it's spewing ash all over Kau at the moment, but it's not coming this way either. But last night I fell asleep with my bedroom window open, and sometime in the middle of the night I started getting annoyed about everything in my dreams. And when I woke up and I'm all annoyed and grumpy and I go, what's wrong here? And I realized, oh man, my nose was burning and so was the back of my throat. The trade winds had stopped, and the plume from Leilani Estates in the southeast actually had kind of spread over our place. Not to any kind of toxic levels, but there was fog in the air. You could smell the sulfur, and I was breathing it in my sleep, snoring sulfur. That'll do it to you every time. And when I got up, I realized, oh wow, it's the air that's bothering me. I shut the windows, and I feel pretty good now. Drink plenty of fluids. As I said, when this happens, if you happen to ever be here in Hawaii, or of course those of us who live here, we know, you get fog, shut the windows, limit outdoor activities to a minimum, and drink plenty of fluids. And that's about all you could do, unless you happen to have an air conditioner, with air purifying and stuff where you could clean the air coming into the house. We don't, because generally up here the air is mellow and we don't really need that kind of air conditioning stuff. So we just close the windows. And so bucking the odds, a week and a half, I've been good until last night. Now they say by tomorrow, Thursday, that we're going to actually get the trade flow coming back again. It's going to sweep all this stuff out to the west and the south, and we're going to be back to lovely air here again. And from our point of view, just kind of enjoying or enduring the spectacle until it finally simmers down. My partner, though, Ellen, she's been working with civil defense. And so she had been yesterday and the day before up on top of the volcano over here around the park area, town of Volcano, Hawaii. And they'd been leafleting, knocking on doors and telling people what they should do in the case that there's an ash fall, because there has been a lot of concern about the main caldera here in the park exploding. A steam eruption is how it's described. It will happen, or it could happen, because the magma has dropped so low in the chamber that they can't measure it anymore. I think once it gets below 1,000 feet below the chamber, they can't do anything to figure out where it's at. So the concern is that groundwater starts running in on it, and then if there is a avalanche or a cave-in of the sidewalls, that this could block the caldera up with the boulders and trash, and then the steam would build up underneath, and kablooey! Rocks the size of Volkswagens and refrigerators come hurling out in left and right all over the place. Well, so far there hasn't been any rocks falling into the caldera, and so we haven't had the big one up there yet. But the ash coming out is spectacular. So we've had no grand explosions, but just one heck of a cloud of ash coming out of that thing. I imagine that is because the groundwater is pouring in on the hot magma and it's just boiling up. It's a massive cloud. The park is closed and they are not letting anybody stop along the road for the 10 miles passing by the volcano. So, you know, you got to kind of be covert if you want to get a good photograph of this. Not wanting to be a pain, you know, I'm staying out of it. But Ellen was up there yesterday and she did manage to get some cell phone images of this eruption of ash. And so I'm going to be putting those into the video. Here's a look at what it looked like yesterday. Apparently it is still ongoing, but they have reduced the alert. They don't think they're going to get a 1/4 inch of ash to the west of the caldera right now. So here you can see the huge discharge coming up. It's dense. Now this is not toxic, okay? It's mostly just dust, kind of silica-like. It's gritty, they tell me. The guys over at Cow Coffee are getting their plants dusted with it, and they said it's not talcum-like. This stuff's scratchy. But I guess they're pretty close, and so the heavier particles probably fall close. The finer stuff drifts. The word is that this has reached about 12,000 feet above the top of the volcano, so it's going to get into some upper atmospheric winds around there, and it could move any old way. Our winds have become light and variable, and so who knows? That's why we have fog and sulfur in here. Luckily, as the ocean heats during the day, we do get an ocean sea breeze coming inland here, which makes this a very desirable location in Hawaii, you know, in this kind of situation. But it is starting. I had a 3-mile-an-hour easterly when I walked out here, although it's variable, and it is tipping to the southeast too, which then carries some more of the fog from Leilani in here. But it's moving. The area is starting to move, and so it's beginning to sweep some of the stuff away. During the night, it just built up. There was no motion, and it just kind of spread out over the land here. And as I was out this morning, I walked down the fence line towards where the piggy had been hit, and I had some bananas to harvest down there. Well, out there near my front gate at about 7 o'clock today, we had sulfur coming in from Leilani, and I had a dead pig down the road. Dude, it smelled like the last fart from a corpse. I mean, oh, sulfur and dead pig mixed together. Sweet. Real sweet. So any of you guys suggested I should barbecue that hog. I'm more like, can we incinerate it? I'm about ready to tie a rope to the back bumper of my car, tie it around the pig's foot, and head on down the highway, get rid of that thing, but that's littering. I mean, it's so close to my bananas, between ants, flies, and, you know, whatever else is around here that'll chew it up. I do believe I'm just going to let it sit for fertilizer. It should help feed the banana plants in the future as it breaks down. Permaculture gardening, dude, you know. Having a road with a real tight fence and a lot of pigs could create all kinds of fertilizer. Yeah, so there's the story on that one. So then, there hasn't been as much glow to the south. I didn't see much last night. We had some the night before, but nothing like the last time I shot the Fire in the Sky video. It was later on, let's see, the following day, after dark, I got on the phone with a great friend of mine, farmer down there in Kapoho. Since I haven't got his permission, I'm not going to put his name up, but you will see him in many videos past about the dragon fruit farm. This is the gentleman I was talking to. And he is currently probably within about a mile of ground zero. He's so close to it. The fumes are not coming his way, so he is currently sheltering in spot on the farm. He has, being a smart farmer, has moved his valuable equipment and tractors off the farm. He has moved the livestock. You know, there was some horses and some sheep. They're off the farm. He took them elsewhere. He's got his truck pack pointed down the driveway and ready to go at a moment's notice because things could change. He's hoping too, like a lot of people, this is going to head straight for the ocean, and it probably will, although no one knows. The problem with this is, though, we have a Puna geothermal is between the fissures and the ocean currently, and it's been moving closer and closer to the geothermal plant. For those of you who aren't familiar with that idea, what they do is they put great big wells down into the magma. They inject water and a few other materials like pentane, and they create steam. And that drives turbines. We get electricity out of it. So, you know, it's a free source of electrical power here on the island, but it has not been popular at all down there in Lower Puna. Well, in this case, looks like Pele's moving to finish it off. And the wells, which they have capped, supposedly with steel caps, do contain hydrogen sulfide, which is a very toxic gas. And so we don't know, but if the fissures do move into the plant, there could be a very large discharge of toxins, or maybe the stuff will just incinerate because the temperature is high, melt steel and so on, so who knows. And that's a concern, and before it gets to the ocean, it's got to go through the power plant. And so, if nothing else, there'll be some happy people in Lower Puna because the plant will probably never reopen, but for the rest of us, it's possible our electrical bills could go up because of it, and Hawaii already has the most expensive power in the United States of America. Going to drive me to cover the roof with photovoltaic cells as soon as I think I can afford to do such a thing and just pull the house off the grid. The heck with all this, really. So, although you put them up on the roof and you get a good ash fall, then you got to go up and clean it all off, so can't win for losing. Anyway, so I was on the phone with my buddy, and that was while there were huge explosions going on down there, coming out of the fissures. I believe it was fissure 17 and 20, or 17 at the time, that were really exploding. And as I talked to him, he's about a mile away. On his phone, the sound of the explosions made it sound like there was a war zone. I mean, it's like bombs going off constantly. I don't know how much beer it takes to keep him calm, but I'd have been pretty shook up. Sleep would not have been easy to get. And there was one really large explosion that came through the phone, and he immediately said, "Oh, did you hear that?" I said, "Whoa, man, it shook my patio door here. I'm 20 miles away, and the sound is so loud that it actually shook my house simultaneously." So, you know, he'd been prepared for all of this, as I said. Moved the equipment, moved the livestock, got ready to boogie on down the driveway. But not everybody is as conscientious, and so a few days ago, while this was all happening, and explosions and basketball-sized rocks flying and so on, someone came to him and said, "Oh, I've got a couple over here that has 4 horses out in the pasture." Well, it turns out the horses were 2,000 feet from the fissure. And they asked Greg, "Will you go down there with your trailer and help move the horses?" And he's going, "Oh, man." I mean, they really were not preparing at all for this. I guess some people kind of, instead of sheltering in place, freeze in place. That's what happened. And so the horses had never been in a trailer, so they were a bear, trying to get them loaded. I really had to fight with them. And I was told that as he was trying to get these horses off the pasture, about 2,000 feet over his shoulder, there was balls of molten rock flying over treetop level. Some reports have said that they got 1,800 feet in the air, 200 easily. I know I saw a few of them from my house 20 miles away. That stuff was flying over the trees. But very nerve-wracking. Horses, of course, not taking to this very well. He did get the horses out, and so they were saved. I know he's questioning his sanity, but that's aloha. What are you going to do? You got to help people, even if, you know, they were not thinking straight, I guess, at the time. So I've been hoping to be able to get a live interview with him via phone link here, so we can actually get an on the spot. So far he's been so busy and crazy down there that he hasn't called me back about that. We'll see. It could come up. In the meantime, I have given you his story as I heard it over the phone. It was very exciting and also very nerve-wracking, because even up here the booming was loud enough that we could hear it, and it was rattling things. I say he was a mile away. We'll see. If it continues towards the sea, he's going to be fine. The farm's going to survive, and so on and so forth. Oh, one other thing he did tell me too that really got to me. When the 6.9 earthquake hit here, I was outside and I watched our soil undulating like waves on the ocean. Only a guess, but I mean, I think I saw ripples between 6 and 12 inches high on the earth, rolling. All the trees and everything were swinging with them. You know, having lived in Wisconsin, I'd say they were dancing a polka, but here in Hawaii, it must have been a hula that the coffee was doing. But I assumed that deep, soft soil, it was well saturated because it had been raining a lot. But when I talked to my buddy down there, he said, no, man, he's on solid lava. The farm is on Pahoehoe, and he said, same thing, man. The lava, solid rock lava, was in ripples. He said the forest was swinging back and forth. And so it was pretty powerful. You can take solid rock and make ripples on it. That's for sure. I say anything you live through makes a heck of a story nobody will ever believe later. So, all in all, it does turn out that our location here is well put. I mean, I'd like to say I thought it all up by myself, but that's not really completely true. There was a lot of thought in where we were going to site this house, and the considerations because of tsunamis and volcanoes and stuff here on this island. But you know, the piece of property ended up being right where that piece of property was, and that was going to be the piece. So we're here, and it's turning out that only under the worst conditions of no wind whatsoever, I can smell that, and so it has affected our air a little bit. I am outside shooting a video now because we do have a breeze. The smell of sulfur is gone, and so it's probably a little better for breathing now. And we are also far enough away from Kilauea's main caldera in the park that the ashfall has not been bothering us. It's always possible if there was a Kona wind, which is a complete reversal. Instead of a northeast trade, it's a southwest flow, that could blow ash this far. Although the civil defense is only doing door-to-door knocking about this as far down as the town of Glenwood. That's Volcano and then Glenwood coming down the mountain here. That's a considerable distance uphill from us yet, so it appears that we haven't got much to worry about as far as ash is concerned. I keep hoping that ash and vog are bad for these coqui frogs, but probably no such luck. So there's the volcano report for today, May the 16th, 2018. This is Green Garden Guy. Aloha. Perhaps I'll walk around the gardens later on this afternoon and watch you talk about gardening for a change. You have a good day.